this video, I spend 100 days in modded survival Minecraft. Now, normally Minecraft is pretty hard, but now that there's mods in there, it just got about 10 times harder. Anywho, that's all there really is to it. Let's get right into the video. My goals in this video are to 1. Loot a bastion, 2. Obtain full enchanted diamond gear, 3. Craft blueprints for a prefab modder house, and 4. Defeat a myrmex colony. On day 1, the first thing I actually saw was a beehive, so that was pretty cool. However, I could not get anything from it because I did not have any bottles or anything. You may notice that I also have a starting house in my inventory, which is one of the mods that I have, and it allows you to build a starter house, no problem, without even having to work hard to build it. I went down this hill and saw that there were actually some vampire hunters, which was also pretty cool, because I hadn't seen those very often. Turns out I would see them a lot more as they are very common in these worlds. I saw that there was a tent there, and I decided to see if I could sleep in it, but turns out, well, I can't. So then I just decided to move on with my journey. I saw that there were actually some chickens over here, so I decided to get a chicken farm going on day 1. So I mined the grass for some seeds, and I didn't get any until a little bit later, but still, that was pretty cool. I ended up getting 4 chickens following me, which was really nostalgic, because when I first got chickens in real life, I actually had 4. And eventually I had to give up the chicken farm thing, though, because it was taking me too long for them to follow me around. I saw a pillager outpost in the distance, but since it was only day 1 and I had nothing, I could not fight it, so I decided to kill this cow instead. Then I went and mined just a little bit of stone so I could craft a good old handy furnace. What I really wanted to do was find a village because that would be a very good place to put my starting house, but I only found more pillager outposts, which was annoying. And then, night of day 1 fell. I was really scared because I did not have enough weapons and tools to actually, help me survive through the night, so I began to just run away because I was just really nervous. But as I ran, disaster kind of befalled me. As you can see over there, a cockatrice started shooting laser beams out of its eyes and attacking me, and it was really scary. Now I have this cockatrice chasing after me like a freaking mad dog. Thankfully, I managed to actually escape the cockatrice. Then I came across a dragon skeleton, which actually drops some good loot, including its skull, which can be used as centerpieces for builds and stuff. It looks really cool. I was really glad that I escaped that cockatrice, but I wasn't in the clear yet, because more mobs were spawning, and then that spider jockey attacked me and started shooting its arrows at me. I hadn't seen spider jockeys a lot, so this was really terrifying. And then the creeper came, and oh, this was the most stress I've ever had. And then I ran up this hill, hoping that I had escaped all the mobs, which I was quite sure I had. But then my game started to lag really hard, and then this spider absolutely jump scared me. When the lag went away, however, thank goodness it did, I began to continue my search to look for a village. After a couple more minutes of traveling through the night, I came across a second desert, which wasn't really that much of an achievement, but then I saw this strange blue beacon of light coming from it. I didn't know what mod that was from, and I knew that was definitely not vanilla Minecraft, but I decided to take my risks and explore it. And then I realized I had been blessed, for that beacon had led me to a village. Let us not forget, though, that it was still night and a ton of mobs were spawning, so it was really just a mad dash to get to this village before I died. And on my way, this was pretty crazy. Literally 1,000 zombies spawned. I didn't get attacked by any of them, but I did get shot twice by 2 skeletons on my way to the village, and I thought I was gonna die on day 1. So this was very terrifying. I did not want to die on day 1. That would not be accepted by any of the viewers. But I managed to make it to a house, get in the bed, and finish my first day of modded Minecraft. Right outside of the house I slept in, there were some wheat blocks, so I mined those in order to turn them into bread, which would make a great food source. But then, as I was eating some, this creeper just came around the corner and totally jump scared me. But I was able to blow it up so it would no longer be annoying to me. Thank goodness, that was scary. I knew that now, since I had finally found a village, I could place my prefab starter house. Since I was in a desert, I decided to go with this desert style house. I really hope you guys like it. I took a long time to build it. No, just kidding, I actually didn't, because it was prefab. And also there was some really cool stuff in the chests that actually spawned with it. I also killed my very first monster in this series, which was a spider living in my basement. Then I went down to the mine, which my prefab starter house had actually created, and found a lot of cool stuff they had mined on the way down. Somehow I got a ladder, which is very strange. I don't know any natural structures that spawn with a ladder. However, I did have many mods installed, so you never know. Then I went and placed the dragon skull on top of this little mini house that my prefab house had actually spawned in. While I was taking some time to explore this village, I found this new villager that I had never seen before. He had like an onion on his cape or something, for whatever reason I could not trade with him. So I was really wondering what this guy really did for a living. Then I raided some of the chests that were in the village, but they didn't drop very good stuff. But as I finished raiding this one and turned behind me, I realized that there was a blacksmith, which was amazing because blacksmiths always have good loot, like that. As I walked back to my house, I noticed that an obsidian golem had actually spawned in the village. This is pretty cool. He looked really scary and was probably really strong and would probably one-shot me if I tried to attack him, so I decided to leave him alone. I also realized that my house didn't have a door, so I placed one so then mobs wouldn't get in. I decided to check out more of my desert surroundings and I fell into that cave. But then I found this ginormous dragon skeleton, and I looted it, and I got an even bigger skull than from the one that I had looted before. I would definitely replace the one that I currently had with this new one that I had just gotten, because it was a lot bigger and cooler. On day 3, I dug a ton of grass in order to get an item called animal pollen, which is actually in part of the mods that allows you to plant animals and farm them like you would normal crops. It took me some time, but after a while, I did actually manage to get some, and then I went and used it on a pig, and now I had pig seeds. When I went back to the village, I found out what that beacon was coming from. It was this weird totem thing, and then I found this other villager who would let me trade with him. He was obviously from the vampire mod because he wanted vampire souls, so that was kind of creepy. And then I began to build my pig farm, which was not that big so far, and then I planted the pig seeds. Then I began to build fences so that the pigs wouldn't escape when they grew, and then I saw this giant like myrmex scorpion thing rushing at me, so I hurried and got the build done, and then I ran and hid in my house so I would be safe from it. I did not have any gear or anything to protect me from that thing. So then I went outside and realized that it was actually not targeting me, but it was attacking one of the iron golems, and the iron golem just demolished it. And then I picked up its drops, which I didn't know what you could actually do with them, but I had them, so that was cool. Then I went and replaced my dragon skull with the bigger one that I had gotten. Then I went strip mining and found a mine shaft, which was awesome. So, yeah. But when I went down there, I realized it probably wasn't a good idea, because I found a vampire and I almost died. Then I dug back up to the surface, because I did not want to have to go back through the mine shaft, and also I kind of got lost. Then I went and killed some fish so I could tame a cat that spawned in the village, because I did not want creepers to target me, because creepers are mean machines. And then I found the cat, and it looked just like a cat that I used to have when I was a kid, which was really nostalgic, and I named him Chunk after that cat, and then I went and put him in my basement so he would be safe from other mobs. Boom, there we go. Then I began to start a legitimate farm and not an animal farm like I was already. And then I saw that my pig plant was actually growing and kind of fast too, so that was awesome. Then I also built a tree farm. Yeah, I was kind of big into farming in these days. And then I bone milled 2 saplings that I had gotten, and I had 2 left over that I could use. Next, it turns out that I had gotten a hold of some chicken seeds, so then I decided to plant a chicken farm as well as a pig farm. The pig plant was also done growing, but I actually didn't know how to harvest it without actually like breaking the plant. So it kind of stayed that way for a while. And then I went strip mining some more, and well, didn't really find anything except some gold, so that was pretty cool. Then I went and brought some chickens over because I really wanted a chicken farm, and you'll see why in just a little bit. So then I lured them all in. I had 3, and my chicken plant was growing quite fast. So that was amazing. I threw some eggs around and didn't hatch any. So then I decided to breed the chickens instead. And I got the achievement, the parrots and the bats, which is when you breed animals together and they have a baby. Then I went and harvested all of my crops and replanted them. So, yeah, not really anything interesting there to see. And after that, I actually expanded my farm so I could get more crops in case I needed to. And it was pretty boring though. And then I did some planking, just casual planking under this tree, you know. And then I went strip mining back to the mine shaft and got in a little battle with this skeleton. I did have more iron armor than before, so now I thought it was safe to go and explore. I found some more iron, which would be very useful later on. Then I found some lapis, which would be really useful for enchantments, but getting enchantments takes a while for me because I'm kind of a noob. And then I went and raided a dragon lair, which was pretty crazy. I was so glad that there were no dragons around because dragons are just grief machines when it comes to this game. And as you can see, I got some really good stuff from the chests, including this obsidian. So now I could build a nether portal, which was absolutely epic because otherwise it would have taken me a long time. And then I found a chain in this chest. So compared to the other chest, that was kind of trash. And then I believe now I had full iron. After that, I went and mined some gravel so I could make a flint and steel so I could go to the nether. And I actually got one flint and boom, there's our flint and steel. And then I didn't know where to build my nether portal, so I decided to build it kind of like semi in my mine. And I began to just build the smallest version that I could of it, which I hope I got this right. But turns out I was one obsidian short, so that meant I had to do the unthinkable, killing this obsidian golem. So I towered up as normal players would do when battling an obsidian golem, and I placed an extra block just for protection, but yeah, I kind of died. So then after I got my stuff back, I had to continue killing him. So boom, and he dropped one obsidian, which was actually the perfect amount that I needed to complete my nether portal. Then I finally lit the portal and entered into the nether, but then I realized I didn't have any gold armor, so I actually had to go back and grab some just because I did not want to get targeted by the piglins, which I knew they would target you if you didn't wear any gold armor. So once I had gotten gold armor on me, I went to the nether, and it was kind of a normal little place, and there was already a ghast shooting at me, so that was bad news. Really glad it didn't hit the portal though. And then this hoglin started chasing after me. Then I towered up to escape the hoglin, the ghast shot it, and then I jumped off the cliff to try and escape, and I died again. So that was big sad. And my stuff had fallen into lava, so I picked up the remainder of it. That piglin had actually taken some of it, which is really, really triggering. Then I went back to the overworld and found that a wandering trader had actually spawned. He didn't have the best trades though. I went and got some more flint as well. I don't remember why actually, but I did. And tried to explore the nether without dying, which is really hard because there were two ghasts that were both teaming on me, and I fell into this cave and thought I was dead, but I wasn't, so that was good. And then I went to the Crimson Forest that was right next to my portal, and there was a bastion right there. So now I was so happy because I could now complete one of my goals. I didn't know what type of bastion it was. It was not a bridges bastion, I don't think, and it was definitely not a treasure bastion because there was no treasure room with gold blocks and spawners. I entered the bastion and found a chest which had some really decent stuff in it, including a crossbow with piercing 2, an unenchanted crossbow, a bunch of arrows, a cooked pork chop, and 4 pieces of gold, and some iron ingots, which I probably won't be using. I placed a chest to put all of my special things in case I died again, which I was thinking I would. Then I saw that this piglin brute was rushing at me, so I had to get away as fast as possible because I was not in good shape to fight this guy. So then I blocked myself off, and it looked like he was about to run back, but then he came to me again. Once I got away from the piglin brute, I went down to loot another chest, and then this hoglin came and just started attacking me out of nowhere, and thankfully, which was really miraculous for me, I managed to escape with 1 health, 1 heart left. And this was so scary, I blocked myself off with gravel so then he wouldn't come and get me. I went back to raid the chest and it had a golden axe with sharpness 2, which was really cool, and a couple of other things as well. I tried to escape the hoglin, but he ended up attacking me again, and can we just like admire that amazing stunt that I made right there to escape that guy, or else I would have fallen to my death. Then I went and shot him so that he would never mess with me again. I just shot him with my piercing 2 crossbow until he died. So I guess that serves him right. We'll be having some nice pork chops tonight. I had raided another bastion chest and had gotten some cool stuff, including a golden axe of sharpness 5. I went to do some trading with the piglins, but then I got attacked by this like demon fire rat or something that spawned in the nether, and it actually almost killed me. So then I ran away and ate this pork chop so I could heal up, and then I tried to build up, but you know, like, they can still, he kind of messed up my building when I tried to do that, as you can see, and then thankfully I killed him, and he dropped some strange items. And then when I traded with the piglins, finally they literally gave me the worst stuff, like soul sand, are you kidding me? I entered back into the overworld and I did some decorating in my little nether room that I had created, and this is how it turned out. So let me know what you guys think. I smelted an ancient debris that I had gotten from the bastion chest, and then I went to my chicken farm, which was rapidly expanding, and got a rotten egg. And if you throw a rotten egg, it has a chance to actually hatch into a cockatrice, which makes an amazing pet. It's like a chicken, like dinosaur hybrid, and I actually got one. I was so happy that I had gotten one of these things because they make really great pets. They can shoot like lasers out of their eyes that give you like the wither effect, which is kind of weird. And then I pushed my baby cockatrice into the chicken pen so he could protect my chickens from mobs, because I don't like it when chickens die. I went strip mining some more, and I'm not going to record a lot of that because it was really boring and I really didn't find any stuff. Then I placed a fletching table for one of the villagers to use, and he became a fletcher, but he didn't have very good trades. I was hoping he would trade stuff for emeralds. And then when I went back to the chicken pen, I saw that my cockatrice had actually grown to its adult size. Then I went and mined some trees from my tree farm, which had expanded because I did it off camera. And then this plague doctor scared me. I thought he was bad, but he was actually good and he had some trades to offer me. I went and expanded my chicken farm after that because some of my chickens were actually dying from overcrowding. And like I said earlier, I do not like it when chickens die. So I had to do this for the sake of the chickens. After expanding my chicken farm, however, I got attacked by a royal myrmex, like, flying bug or something. I don't know what it's called, but I knew that this one was bigger and packed more of a punch than the sentinel scorpion did. So I went and hid in the villager pit to lure the iron golems to kill him, and they actually didn't, but he did fly away, so that was good. I crafted some silver gear because there was actually a graveyard next to my village where ghosts will spawn, and silver gives you protection and does extra damage against the undead. So I went into the graveyard and did not find anything really cool. Then there was this little gravekeeper house, and there was some pretty good stuff in the chest, but then I didn't collect all of it because the ghost started attacking me, so I had to kill the ghost. And I did go back for the loot after killing the ghost, which really was easy. Turns out ghosts are super weak to silver. I went back to the village and saw that a Stymphalian bird had actually come from a swamp and had attacked, and some of my chickens had died in the process, so I buried their remains respectfully. You were loved. Rest in peace. I got attacked by this myrmex royal, who I will now refer to as the big bad bug, once again. And he was really scary. Turns out these things are actually super common, and they're also really strong. I escaped with half a heart, and then I had a plan. I had been grinding in my chicken coop, and had hatched at least 5 cockatrices. So I went and made them all follow me, and then I had them come with me to attack this big bad bug. Some of them were taking fall damage from that cliff though, but that didn't harm them. Cockatrices are tough. And I'm a really bad shot, and I tried to shoot the myrmex royal, but then it came to me and actually killed me, so that's why I have less XP. And when I came back to retrieve my cockatrices that had actually killed it, they protected me throughout the night, killing all the mobs that were a danger to me. So I was really glad to have these things around to protect me. So I had to heal some of them with rotten flesh though, because they were taking a beating out here. They attacked literally every single mob, and it actually took a while for us to get back to the house, because they were all just like so focused on killing all of these mobs. So then I sat them all down just right outside my house instead of keeping them in the chicken run. In the morning, I got in a tangle with a couple of husks, but I knew who to help me because, obviously, from last night. Then I went to this mine shaft and dug a spider spawner, a cave spider spawner to be exact. This cave spider gave me poison, which really was annoying because poison is like my least favorite effect. Then I went to see if there was like any cool chests in this mine shaft still. So I looked, but saw nothing but cobwebs, so I decided to collect those for the string. But as I mined the cobwebs, well, you'll see in just a minute. Just watch. Yeah, that happened. And, well, he kind of blew me up, but I didn't record it. And then, when I went back down to the mine shaft later on, I found some diamonds. So that was awesome. And then I actually found the mine shaft chest, which had some fairly decent stuff in it. So I collected everything, except for like the really crappy things. And I got the name tag too, so now I could officially name my cat Chunk, which I did once I got back to my house. And boom, Chunk name tag created. You are now officially named Chunk. You're so cute. I was really happy having a cat and all, but I wanted a dog now because I had a mod that actually had really cool dog upgrades. So I went and tamed this dog, which actually took a while because he did not want to be tamed. And once I did, I brought him back home and made a training treat for him, which would actually allow me to give him a bunch of cool dog upgrades. And boom, training treat created. I gave him some upgrades after giving him that training tree, and I eventually picked one that allows him to set things on fire whenever he's attacking. However, I did not have enough points to give him any other upgrades, so I decided to change his texture instead. And it did take me some time because there were a lot of really cool textures, like some didn't even look like dogs, some were like dragons or raccoons and foxes, and they looked so cute. So as I looked through them, I eventually decided on this bulldog one, which is really cute. I think bulldogs are cute looking dogs. They're like ugly, but they're also cute at the same time, you know, like the blobfish. And then I eventually named him Bernie because that was the first name that popped into my head and I couldn't come up with any other good names. So that's his name. I came across a rat soon after that and gave him a bunch of cheese, but I did not tame him. Rats are actually really good mobs to have as pets because you can upgrade them like the dogs. And after that, I started to create some supplies which I would use to eventually build my moderate house, which I was really excited for. I did like my old house, and I crafted another starting house. I would need to make 3 of these in order to make a moderate house. I'd actually taken the chest that ghosts spawned out of from the graveyard, and I had placed it right next to my house for use as a mob grinder, which was amazing. It made a great mob grinder actually. They give you a lot of XP when you kill them, and they're very weak to silver. Then I finally did it. I crafted my moderate house, and it was becoming night, so I had to hurry and find a good place to put it. And it took me a while, but eventually I found this nice little pathway right here, and I decided to put it there. There were a lot of cool options, but I wanted the desert one since I lived in a desert, and it was obvious that the nether house was obviously the closest thing to a desert, so I went and built that. Look at this place. This was now my new house. It had a ton of awesome stuff in it, which was amazing. Nothing spawned in the chest though, and it even had a cool sign there that said nether sweet nether. And then I slept in my new bed. I spent a lot of time mob grinding after that because I needed some XP because I wanted to start getting like enchants and stuff pretty soon. So I kept repeatedly opening the chest and killing all the ghosts that popped out of it. And then I went and killed some pigs, and yes, as you can see, my farm has expanded. I did a lot of stuff off camera. And I used their pork chop as a food supply, although I really actually didn't. I didn't use it for like the whole of the video, so yeah. Then I decided that I wanted to go and raid that myrmex nest, so I gathered all of my cockatrices and my dog Bernie, but it turns out that, you know, I was not ready to do that because it was absolutely overcrowded with bugs, and so then I decided to call a retreat, and all of my birds and my dog just followed me straight back to the house. But however, while I was there, I actually noticed that there was a temple near the myrmex hive, so I rode my dog. I know, it's very weird. I gave him an upgrade that allows me to ride him over to the temple, trying to avoid the myrmexes on the way. However, there were a couple of mobs guarding the temple, like those hippogriffs, and a giant deathworm, which really you couldn't see, even though it was definitely there. When I went down there, I raided all the chests, and I found some really good stuff, like enchanted books. I even found a notch apple, but I wasn't recording that, so I'm very sorry. And also my internet was down, which is why my character looked like Alex. Then I actually went and killed a vampire while I was mining, and then I got some obsidian so I could make an enchantment table. And boom, enchantment table created. I did some mob grinding the next day and came across this Pac-Man ghost. Yes, a Pac-Man ghost spawned out of the chest, and then this villager walked into my house like he owned the place, which was kind of an invasion of my privacy. Look at that chicken, heroically standing on the top of the mountain. You know how, like, in books, how the dogs are always, like, in such a heroic pose? This is my version of one of those books. And speaking of dogs, I went into the forest and actually tamed, like, 5, which was amazing, and I even tamed them all with all the bones that I had. And then I went and gave them all some training treats and gave them a bunch of upgrades. I named this one Poison Pug because I gave him a pug texture and gave him the upgrade that allows him to poison things whenever he bites them. And then I did some trading with this villager and I got so many emeralds from it. After trading with the villager, I went and explored the dragon den a little more, got in a tangle with his death worm, and he brought me down to 2 health with 1 lash of his tongue. And then I checked out another graveyard that was hidden up in the mountains when I had done some exploring. So I went and raided it and broke the chest so I wouldn't have to fight any ghosts, but there was really like nothing that was really good. Next I tried to mine for some diamonds by blowing up TNT in order to expose some new stuff, but I only got a bunch of coal. After that I came across a zombie spawner, a dungeon, but I broke the spawner, which I really should have saved for a mob grinder that was more efficient than the ghost one. But I also found a saddle in the chest, which was really cool. I really wanted to use that so I could tame a horse. So after that I went and did that, and I just went to the plains and rode all of the horses in the area just to like see like how good they were with like speed, and I eventually picked one. I didn't actually know what to name it, but I eventually decided to name it Salty because it had white spots on it. And then I also gave him some diamond horse armor. In all of the time I had spent strip mining, I had actually managed to procure 31 diamonds, and I created a full set of diamond armor, as you can see here in this time lapse. After that, I went and made a sharpness 2 diamond sword. And that was one of many enchanted items I had gotten. Diamond pickaxe with efficiency 1, diamond boots with feather falling, and well, I don't have enough time to go through all that, but you can probably see what it says anyway. After that, I went to the nether to mine some ancient debris so I could get a netherite. I saw that these piglins were attacking a hoglin, they were like hunting or something, so I went and tried to help them, and I wasn't scared of these big fat pig beasts anymore because I had full diamond armor that was enchanted. And then they eventually ended up killing it, and then I went mining for netherite and dug down to Y15 where it normally spawns at. I blew up some TNT so it would make a big hole in the ground so that I could like see if any was exposed or not and stuff. But I didn't find any on my first try. But on my other tries, I was a lot more lucky. I actually saw some hiding beneath the gravel, but this was all I got during my entire mining expedition for ancient debris, and it was just 1. When I returned back home, I came across this bookshelf golem that had spawned in the village. A lot of new golems were spawning, and this guy looked really funny. I came across that rat that I had been trying to tame earlier, but this time I had a lot more cheese that would satisfy its hunger. So I dropped it all on the ground and ran away so it wouldn't run away from me in order to try and eat it. And I eventually ended up taming it, which was actually really amazing. However, I couldn't get it to follow me back to my house, so I had to put it on top of my head and actually like carry it to my house. I placed it among my cockatrices and had it just sit down on the ground so it would be safe. I went back into my house and saw that villagers were crowding. This is my house, you guys. And then I started placing signs around just to kind of give this place a little more of like a city feel. I tried to make this place into like a little town / city. I then started building a roller coaster, and I actually really enjoy building roller coasters, so this is a really fun experience for me. I didn't know what to call it, so I just call it the Unnamed Roller Coaster. Such a great name, am I right, guys? When I ran out of materials to build the roller coaster, I traded with the local plague doctor and gave him some contaminated food. Don't know why he really wanted that though. I placed some more signs around the city, and I placed a now entering sign. I didn't know what to call this little town, but I eventually settled on Chicken-topolis. I know it's not the best city name, but it worked, and it actually was kind of hard to spell there, as you can see. But there we go, I did it. And then I went and turned the village into the Chicken-topolis suburbs. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And then I actually noticed that there was actually one of those strange well structures by my house, so I went and called it the Wishing Well of Chicken-topolis. And yes, I spelled wishing wrong, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. But sadly, I never fixed it, so I'm extra sorry. I had actually collected a couple more supplies to build my roller coaster, so I went and did that again. Here's some more time lapse. Yeah, it took a long time. I did it until night. After that, I decided it was time to complete my last goal, which was to raid a myrmex colony. In case you've forgotten, there was one right next to my house, so I went strip mining to get gold so I could make golden apples and stuff for healing. But then I decided it would be a lot easier to go to the nether instead, because I know that lots of gold actually spawns there. So I went and found this like 10 vein of nether gold and mined it all up. And yeah, you can see that there's actually quite a bit. And I checked my inventory and saw that I actually had 52. However, sadly, very sadly, that was not enough to even make a single golden apple. It only got me like 7 gold ingots. But despite my lack of healing, I decided to go to the hive anyway. So I got all of my cockatrices to sit up, and I also brought my dog Bernie with me because I had actually made it so that he could be revived if I right-clicked on a dog bed. I went to the bug nest, which was absolutely overpopulated, and I went and attacked the bugs. They weren't lagging my computer as much as they were before, which is very strange, but I went and commanded all of my cockatrices to attack, and they did a pretty good job. I went and tried to heal all of them while they attacked, and I got poisoned, and it was pretty crazy. I survived with half a heart, and some of my cockatrices had actually died in the process, so I had to retreat. However, when I got home, I remembered that off camera I had been grinding, and I actually had managed to craft 33 blocks of TNT. So now, a new plan hatched in my mind. I ran outside my house without any pets or cockatrices to protect me. I ran to the myrmex base, and you probably know what I did then. I blew up the entire nest. Take that, you big bad bugs. Kaboom! I only used like 5 TNTs, and it killed all of those bugs except for the queen, who was still alive and was sitting over in the treasure room. So I went and got my bow and shot the queen bug until I ran out of arrows. And after I ran out of arrows, I went and placed all the rest of my TNT and exploded them right there so I could get all the amazing loot that was being guarded in the treasure room. But somehow, that didn't actually kill the queen either. But then I remembered that from the temple I had gotten a super enchanted golden apple, basically a notch apple. So I went, ate it, got the absorption effect, and went in and hit the queen a couple of times and actually ended up killing the biggest, baddest bug of all time. Man, that was such a big achievement. And I finally completed my last and final goal of this video. Then I looked in the treasure room and actually found some pretty decent stuff. There are piles of gold and silver and a diamond. I don't know what these giant desert bugs need a diamond for. And then I went and mined up all the piles of gold and silver that were in the treasure room. I knew that in the nest, as well as there being a treasure room, there was also a cocoon room that could have some potentially good items in there. Basically, the myrmexes just like grab random things from the world and store them in here if their queen doesn't want to eat them. So I looked in this one, which is absolutely loaded. It had some really good stuff in it, and it had a giant deathworm egg. That means I could get my own pet giant deathworm. I had managed to get a hold of 4 jungle saplings from the myrmex cocoon room. So now that I had those, I could make a giant jungle tree. So I went and did that. I bone mealed 4 of them at the same time and got this, a new addition to my town. Then I spawned the giant deathworm egg, but well, he went underground, and these things actually tend to wander and don't really teleport to you. So now he was kind of just lost in the desert. Poor little guy. However, that is not the last we will see of that thing. I did some mob grinding, and it turns out it actually started helping me fight the ghosts, and it dug underneath the sand. It had grown incredibly fast. I was so surprised. Giant deathworms grow faster than regular deathworms, so it makes a lot of sense. Then I had an absolute egg fest. I collected all the eggs in my storage, in my inventory, and just threw them all around Chickentopolis and just hatched them all. I just threw them all. It was such a fun time. After that, I went and took my horse Salty for a ride around the desert. I went and explored all the places I had been and checked out a couple of new places. We rode for a couple of days and it was amazing, just me and Salty, just against the world. However, on day 99, I realized that the sun was setting and I needed to do this on the very last day. So I went up, I rode Salty up to the tallest mountain that was overlooking the city of Chickentopolis. And I went there with my horse Salty and watched the sunset. Once it became night, I rode back home and I actually brought Salty into my house so he could just sleep in my house on the last day, just because he had been a good horse and he deserved it. So then I went there and slept on my last day. When the sun rose on day 100 in this world, I went and took Salty not back into the basement of my old house, but I actually tied him up to the fence, which I was going to use for my deathworm. So yeah, and as proof, there's the day 100 right there on my screen, just to show that I actually spend 100 days in this world. And then I also killed a spider. Like, excuse me, what does this guy think he's doing? And that's all for today, folks. See you all!